Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
This island is pretty much full of only two things: snakes and rats.
The fake dead grandmother could easily go down as the dirtiest thing ever to be done in this game.
I am the king, and I am back.
But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner.
The winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich.
Direct from Hobart, it's now time for the only dedicated radio show in Australia devoted to the hit TV show Survivor, bringing you the latest news and the biggest interviews from the king of reality television. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's only Survivor radio show and podcast, as we bring you our second ever Survivor exit interview. In just a few moments' time, I'm going to be speaking to the second booted contestant from the 29th season of Survivor, San Juan Del Sur, Val Collins. Very much looking forward to getting Val on the line and hearing everything that happened from her exit in the last week. A bit of a shocking exit in some aspects, given that she was predicted by many to go far, including by myself. I predicted her to win the game, but very much looking forward to hearing from her in just a moment. Just also a quick plug for those listening to this maybe on iTunes or Stitcher. If you haven't seen our website, if you head to survivoroz.com, you can see side by side with this exit interview a preview of tomorrow's episode. So Noah, our Ozlet Noah, has fantastically sat down and sort of decoded throughout the previews and kind of given his thoughts on what's going to happen in tomorrow's episode of Survivor. You can also see Val the day after, the little video that they post on the CBS website, as well as a couple of hidden scenes that they put on the website for you to enjoy as well. So survivoroz.com, click on the Val Collins exit interview, which should be on the front page at the time of this being posted, or you can go up to interviews on the top tab of our page, let a little drop down menu come, and you will see exit interviews under there. Click on that and you will see it there. Right now though, I think I need to shut up and I need to bring in our next guest, the second booted contestant from Survivor, San Juan Del Sur. Please welcome to Survivor Oz, Val Collins. Val, welcome to Survivor Oz.
Hi. Glad to be here. Glad to talk to you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Obviously, probably a little bit earlier than we would like to have you, Val, but still great to have you here on the show. But nearly now a week since the episodes aired. I mean, how has things been from your perspective after seeing everything play out? Has it brought you a bit of closure, obviously, since the exit?
It is. You know what? It's been funny. I've been obviously friends and stuff are sending me different people's perspective on the episode, and I'm getting different people's perspective. So that's That's been interesting on what people, think was going on, and some of the stuff that obviously that, they didn't get to see. So that's been interesting now, a week out.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, for you, of course, your time on the show, I think really seemed like it went down pretty early when you went to Exile Island, pretty much straight away. I mean, was there no recovering from that moment, do you feel? I mean, was the visit to Exile sort of your downfall in this game?
Oh, I definitely think it was. I mean, I never wanted to come out and play as aggressively as I have, but I wanted to play the game, and I wouldn't have come out with the idols or the talk of the idols at all as I did had I been able to be in the game and feel like I was able to bond with the tribe. I mean, it's a combination. You obviously Keith went to exile too, but he's on a winning tribe. So when you have a tribe that's losing and you have a tribe that doesn't have the numbers and women, and your name has come up more than once, before tribal and around camp. I mean, literally, people were saying, well, somebody hasn't been here, So obviously, for me to hear, that it was an easy decision, and that's what the route that they were going, So that was that at that point, I was like, I really got to be a little bit more aggressive to try and do something. I could have just sat there and waited for my name to come up knowing it, which is not my personality at all. So, but I mean, I felt like if I hadn't been there, there was a lot of things within my tribe that I could have bonded with. I mean, Josh lives in New York, and I lived in New York for a few years during college, and I lived in Michigan, and Declan's from Michigan, and I thought Baylor and I might have been able to bond somewhat, just where she came. I'm a mother, and she came with her mother, and I grew up with a single mother. I thought Wes with the firefighter thing would have been a bond. Dale was a little bit older, but I thought that he would have probably bonded with me more than some of the younger guys. I just think I would have just been able to ease a little bit more into those relationships versus trying to force them. And socially, it was one or the other. I either had to try to play up the idol because people were fully aware that know the game, that there's most likely a clue in Exile, and possibly the finding the idol. I mean, telling them I didn't have one would have been a lie. Telling them I did have it. Either way, I think that they were looking. If I said I didn't have it, that I could have been lying, and saying I did have it obviously was part of my strategy as a big bluff. But I felt that was more of a likelihood to get them off my back than not. So
well, was it kind of, I suppose, a mistake to say you had two idols? Because I've sort of read some of your other exit interviews where you've kind of explained it, and I've read some pretty outlandish comments from some people in the Survivor media saying this is the dumbest lie in the history of Survivor. But I mean, in all fairness, you've got to, as you said, kind of put the bluff out there. But was the ultimate mistake saying you had two instead of maybe just saying you had one?
This is what I'm wondering, and I've obviously heard some of the stuff. I have tried not to read everything, but I'm wondering, and I haven't watched the episode yet. I was in California when it aired, and I haven't watched it on DVR again yet. And as a viewer, I'm wondering, is your interpretation, or what did you get from it, that I was saying that I got two idols with my crew back at camp?
Yeah, it was kind of portrayed that you'd got them back at camp, and as sort of saying, I've only sort of seen it once too, so I haven't gone back and rewatched it yet either. But I think that was kind of the implication that a lot of people read from it, and that's where the question was. It was like, well, should she have just said she had the one that she found back at camp, or had she just got the two?
Yeah, I mean, so I had said that I had got one in Exile and then one at camp. And the reason it even came into play is because initially Josh was supposed to be working with us. He had agreed to work with us. Bella had agreed to work with the girls. At the initial, obviously they turned on that and voted Nadia out. So that is how Josh knew that I even had the clue, you know what I'm saying? Because I did share it with them in an attempt to use it as like a bartering tool and discuss us using it to save our alliance had we got farther in the game and there was a merge situation. So I wasn't saying it like I found two. I actually said one in Exile, and that's actually what I was alluding to when I said in the first tribal about finding things you find things when you're out on exile, etc.
Yeah.
And that's actually, so, I mean, I definitely see people saying two idols. Two idols was a stretch anyways, but where, I was dealing with some younger viewers and younger fans with the 20-year-olds, they hadn't seen a lot of the episodes of Survivor, and they didn't necessarily know or had watched when Exile was last playing Survivor, so I felt like had I been on maybe last season, that wouldn't have flagged probably at all. But with these people, most of them didn't know. I think most of them in their interviews had admitted that they thought I at least had one, possibly two. They weren't convinced of it. It wasn't really, I don't think, until that the whole situation became a little bit more sketchy until John, I think, made it very obvious that we possibly were working together. Yeah. And then he went back to them and talked to them. I think most of them were on board with it, with staying away from it, and had mentioned it to Jacqueline too. So, I mean, it was definitely far-fetched. I'm owning that completely. And, but, I mean, I guess I look at Survivor too and saying, listen, there's so many times I watch Survivor and I'm like, you know, you see some of the women go far, and it's usually because they snuggled up to some guy and they've used the sex appeal, and they, you know what I mean, and their strategy is to fly underneath the guy. That was never going to be my strategy, you know what I'm saying? Even with my husband there, I still wanted to make plays and I still wanted to strategize, and, you know, I have a opinion and I have ideas on how I want to play this game. So, I mean, I really wasn't gonna be that girl, and sometimes I'm somewhat surprised. Not that I don't think, but I'm somewhat surprised that people not wanting to see someone actually play, whether it was the biggest bluff ever. I guess as a fan, I want to see people do something. I guess I don't like seeing the girl that just sits there and casually waits for her number to be up, you know what I'm saying, for someone to put her name up there. Like, I knew that I was a target. I knew that I was a target the first day when Nadia went home. I knew I was a target every day after that. And losing, I definitely knew that I was a target. And it was said around me, you know, that someone hasn't been here. So I chose to make a move and try to take some of the heat off me by, you know, what happened with Baylor at Tribal and by the Idols, versus just sitting there and not playing at all.
Well, I know it was a massive shock, I think, to a lot of us, because I will say, Val, I predicted you to win this game at the start of the season, so you can blame me for that, because my picks always go home, they never win, so... So I'm sorry for that, Val.
Jinxed me.
Yes, I did. Look, we've run out of time here, so I won't be able to grab into our Association or our listener question, but I will say to people who sent that in, thank you. I will say to you, Val, it's been a lot of fun chatting with you here today. Again, as I said at the top of the interview, a lot earlier than we would have liked, but it's still been a lot of fun. And I will say best of luck. Enjoy watching the rest of the season, and we look forward to possibly getting you back here on Survivor or sometime in the future for a bit more of a longer and in-depth chat.
Thank you. I would love that.
And there we go. Val Collins, second boot from Survivor San Juan del Sur. And heard me sort of just mention there that we had to cut out some of the moments there. We actually, halfway through that interview, believe it or not, lost connection. So if people are long-term listeners to Survivor Oz and often joke about our internode debacles that we have sometimes throughout episodes, chose the perfect time to happen halfway through the interview. But I will say a special thank you to the guys at CBS for connecting us back in there and allowing us just to get another question in there to finish that off, because obviously that was slightly embarrassing. But them's the breaks. Technology doesn't exactly work for you all the time. But look, we're looking forward to bringing you more of these exit interviews. Hopefully we won't have any more cutouts like that next week. The third boot will be on same time, same place next week. But of course, your coverage of San Juan del Sur continues as we move along. Tomorrow, being Thursday for Australia and Wednesday for the US, the third episode airs. Of course, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday evening in America on CBS, and 9:30 p.m. on Go right here in Australia on Thursday night. To check that one out, we'll be live tweeting throughout the episode, so you can join in the conversation. As always, hashtag is Survivor Oz. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and remember, your thoughts can always be included on our recaps, which we often choose some of the funny ones, the better ones, and sometimes the more obscure ones. So remember to get involved with that. Also, remember that we will be bringing in 2 former Survivor contestants to recap this week's episode. This week we have the Bonhams lined up, Rupert and Laura, to chat about the third episode of Survivor San Juan del Sur. And we come to you live directly after the Australian airing of San Juan del Sur, 10:30 p.m. live on Spreecast. It is the Oztopsy. Remember, you can call in live on that and join in the fun of the fair. So make sure you do tune into that. Power Rankings will be back early next week as well. Troyzan and Sandra doing a great job and helping us out with the Power Rankings on that. And, of course, all the regular other Survivor Oz segments that you can see on our website that are coming. We have a top 10 out today. We have a feature coming out on Monday, our random episode of the week on Tuesday. And I've had a lot of people asking me what's happening with the interviews. We had a few interviews that we had done in the last few weeks, and they are coming. We've been a little bit busy around the Survivor Oz offices with all the other spin-off shows and everything else that we've been doing, striving to get a couple of them up for you next week. So please stay tuned to our website for updates. I do sincerely apologise that some of these have been taking their time, but we will try and get them out as best as we can. And on a side note, if you are a Big Brother Australia fan or you are an Amazing Race fan, remember we have episodes dedicated to those. The second Amazing Race US spin-off episode hosted by Noah Groves, who of course wrote our preview post, that can be found a little later today online, as well as Big Brother Australia. That comes out every Monday and Wednesday. If you missed last Monday's, we spoke to last year's winner Tim Dormer. You can check that out already via our website, and of course a little later today, at least at the time of recording this, I'll be speaking to 2012 winner as we get him on every week, Ben Norris, to hear about all the events in the Big Brother house. That's enough selfless plugs, except for me to say subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, leave us ratings, feedback, and everything else in between. And that basically means that I'm leaving the building right now. Thanks again for tuning in to this Val Collins exit interview here on Survivor Oz. Till we next speak again, my name has been Ben, the Tribe has spoken, and we'll speak to you on the trains.